Hi everybody, it's Miss Shelia. Happy Tuesday, April 21st. I hope that everyone had a great Monday and that you're ready to learn some more about reading today. Today, I want to talk about reading longer books. As we have moved through second grade, we've gotten more advanced with our reading, and therefore, the majority of us are reading longer books right now. Whether it's a chapter book or a longer picture book that has more text to it, regardless, our books are getting longer, and that means that sometimes it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on in the story. A lot of times now there might be more characters that you have to keep track of. There might be more problems that are happening in the book. There's a lot on our minds lately, and even if it isn't lately, I know for myself sometimes that have you ever caught yourself just zoning out? You might be reading, you might be watching a TV show, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? And then you have to go back and you have to reread everything, or you have to rewind the show and watch what went on. So today, I want to teach you how to hold on to the whole story that you're reading and not lose track of the most important information. So, believe it or not, the best tool to have is a partner. Now I know, Miss Shelia, we're not in school. How can I have my reading buddy? How can I have my reading partner? Well, technology is a wonderful thing. And you can, believe it or not, use Teams to call each other. It doesn't have to be somebody in your class. It could be somebody in another class. And you also have your family at home. Your parents, your grandparents, your older brothers and sisters. Those are all people that you can talk to about your story. So I'm going to shrink myself so that I can show you what I'm talking about. Hold on. Okay, now we're tiny. I'm going to get this started so that we can see it on the big screen. Here we go. And I'm going to move myself out of the way. All right. Strong readers. This is what they do to make sure that they're able to hold on to all of that information when they're reading a longer story. And the first thing that they do is they make a plan. And they make a plan for stopping to check in with themselves or with a partner after reading a section. For example, I know a lot of you like the same books, whether it's Magic Schoolhouse books, whether it's Dogman books, or maybe Amelia Bedelia, whatever it is that you're reading. Find somebody, talk to your friends, send them a message, send them an email, send them a text, send them a chat on Teams and ask them, hey, what are you reading? Maybe we're reading the same thing. Even if you're not reading the same exact book, if you're reading the same series, they have similar characters and you can kind of help each other out with that. So what I want you to do first is I want you to make a plan for stopping and checking in, either with yourself or with a partner. If you're working with yourself or a partner, these are the things that you want to do. So where are you going to stop to check in for understanding? Are you going to stop at the end of each chapter? Are you going to stop when a major event happens in a chapter or in a book? Or are you going to stop when the character has a big feeling or you have a big feeling about something that's going on? And in my class, we talk about those are great places to stop and jot. But now this time, if you have a partner or if you have somebody to talk to at home, these are great places to stop and actually talk to somebody about and make sure that you really understand what's going on. The next thing that strong readers do is they don't just ignore the confusing parts. Don't just blow by it and ignore it. You really need to stop. Strong readers will stop and they're going to ask questions and they reread to figure things out. Just like I told you before, sometimes when we zone out, we can't remember what we just read. And I said that a lot of times I even have to go back and reread, or I have to go back and I have to rewind and find out what happened in the story. And then the last thing that strong readers do is they talk to someone to remember the parts of the story. And this is different from checking in with a partner. This is talking to somebody at home or on the phone, one of your friends, or FaceTime, or anything that you might have, and just sharing about your story. Say, hey, first this happened, then this happened, and finally this happened. Doesn't have to be about the whole book. Remember, we're reading longer books. We don't expect you to be finishing them all in one day. Chances are you're reading 20 minutes or so on and so forth. You might read a chapter, maybe you read a few chapters, but you're not completing that whole book. And so when you take the time to talk to somebody about what you just read, you're helping your memory sink in and hold on to that information. So now on the next slide, I want to show you some questions that readers can ask. So if you find yourself stuck or confused, these are the questions I want you to ask yourself. And these are also great questions to ask yourself when you stop at your planned stops. So the first thing that you can ask yourself is, what's happening so far? What happened so far in the story? What happened so far in just that little section? Ask yourself that and then answer it. If you need to, which I highly suggest, write it down on a Post-it and stick it in your book or stick it in your reader's notebook so that you can go back and reread your notes and help you solidify and understand what's going on in the whole story. The next thing I want you to ask is, what's this mostly about? Only you can answer that question because you're the one reading your individual book. And then, how is the character changing or not? Maybe the character isn't changing, but a lot of times you'll see that a main character or a supporting character will have a change in attitude, or something will happen to have them change the way they're thinking or the way they're acting. And then the last thing, and this is something that I'm always asking the kids in my class too, what is the character learning, or what's the lesson? What's the lesson of this story? Remember, when authors write, there's always some kind of point that they're trying to make, like the moral of the story, or what is it that the character learned by the end of the story. Something usually comes out by the end of the story. Typically, you've got a character that's one way in the beginning, something happens, there's a solution, and the character learns some sort of lesson from that. So today, I want you to read, make a plan first before you start reading. Where are you going to stop and jot? And then, if I can go back to my old slide. Go back. It won't, sorry guys. So again, we're going to make a plan for reading today. We are not going to ignore the hard parts, and we're going to ask questions to make sure that we understand what's going on, and then we're also going to talk to somebody about our book that we're reading. If we do all of those things together, we will become stronger readers, and we'll be able to hold track of what's going on in the whole story, not just a little piece. Have a great day, guys, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow.